Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk about my journey to high carb raw vegan or high carb cooked vegan. So I started on this lifestyle about 7 months ago, and at that point in my life I was feeling the most unhealthy that I had ever felt, and I was not very happy. I was kind of depressed. So I'll start from the beginning for where my health struggles started. And I've read a lot of stories and heard a lot of stories that are quite similar to mine. So I'm sure a lot of people will hear a little bit um, that reminds them of their own story here. So when I was 16, I started to experience symptoms of hypothyroidism. And uh, it took me until I was 21 to get diagnosed and prescribed treatment for that. So I struggled with those symptoms for quite a few years, getting blood tests every 3 months. Um, so that might have been the start of the downhill spiral because it makes you feel bad when you're hypothyroid. You feel really lethargic, and you have a bunch of other symptoms as well, but that's probably the most prominent one that affects your life the most. Also, when I was 16, I went on birth control and the pill, and um, I stayed on that until I was almost 20 years old. And then when I went off of it, I started getting acne. And I had never had acne as a teenager. Maybe that was because I was on the pill and the hormones kept it in my system, or maybe my acne was caused from getting off the pill. I don't know. There's lots of theories. Um, so I started to get acne, and I struggled with that for maybe 9 or 10 months, and then went to a dermatologist, and she put me back on the pill, which I didn't really want to do. I had just gotten off of it, but I did it because I didn't want my skin to look horrible, and I was going out and partying a lot, so I wanted to look good. So I went back on the pill, and then a couple months later, they switched me to a higher, kind of a stronger pill, which is Diane 35. And Diane 35 is this nasty little pill that they actually can't even prescribe for birth control, even though it's a birth control pill, because it's so strong and there's so many negative side effects from this pill that they can only prescribe it in extreme cases of acne. And I don't think I really fit into that description. It was not extreme. I was getting breakouts. They bothered me, but they really were not extreme. And they probably should have tried something else first, but they didn't. And they didn't really tell me about it. I learned all this about the pill later on. But people die from it. It's a very serious, strong pill. And so I was on that. And I was on that for about a year until I took myself off because I was scared that I was going to die from it, from a blood clot or something. I was flying across the country a lot, and you're not even supposed to fly. That's how serious it is. If you are sitting for more than 4 hours, you're supposed to go off the pill for a week before, so you don't get blood clots. And the flight that I was taking was 7 hours long. So I went off the pill, and my acne did come back. So they put me on an antibiotic, minocycline. And I was on this antibiotic for just over a year, and it kind of helped. I don't know how much it helped. It's hard to tell because I had already been on something before. There was no transition period really. And I went off of that when I started high carb raw vegan, and my skin never really got bad after that. It just kind of stayed the same or improved. So that's kind of my skin story. And also when I was in university, I was drinking a lot and partying a lot. I was living the typical university lifestyle, eating from the cafeteria, from the meal hall, and then once I was out in my apartment with my friends, we were just eating like pizza all the time and Mr. Noodles and really awful, horrible stuff. Plus, we were drinking a lot. We were drinking multiple times a week for probably 3 years straight. And we take the summers off a little bit, but then we do other things in the summer which you drink at it. And so I was drinking really heavily, and each time we would drink, I would easily have a pint of vodka. And I was spending a ridiculous amount of money on alcohol, but I didn't notice or care. I didn't think that maybe that was the cause of some of my health problems. I didn't even think about it. I was so just so ignorant of anything to do with health. So we were also up late a lot, studying or partying, so my sleep was really interrupted. So maybe that affected things as well. But basically, I started to gain weight, which is not surprising. And for the first time in my life, I was overweight. I ranged between 150 to 165 probably, and I'm 5'7", so that's heavier than I should be. And so I started dieting. And I would do fad diets, and I think one time I went like 6 weeks where I only ate turnip, which really isn't the worst thing, except I was eating, I think, maybe 800 calories a day, and a lot of those calories came from the butter that I was putting in the turnip. So not that healthy in retrospect. So I would do these diets, lose some weight, and then bounce back and gain it all back, sometimes more. And this is kind of was the trend of my life. And about 3 months before I started on the 80-10-10 lifestyle, I started having migraines. I had always had migraines from the time I was 11 maybe. I had always had occasional migraines, and some of them quite bad, but this was different. It felt different. It was like a constant throbbing pain. It was always there. I woke up in the morning and it was there. I went to bed at night and it was there. Sometimes it would wake me up from sleep. It was constant. Sometimes it was worse than others and I would have to take the day off work. And other times it would be okay. I could get through my day, but I was agitated and I didn't have any patience and I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to, be in a dark place and close my eyes and try to get my head to feel better. And I was taking a lot of ibuprofen as well. I was taking it like every morning just to get through the day because the pain was so bad. And I think this might have been caused by the minocycline that I was on at that time for my skin. So that was really bad. And also around the same time that my headache started, I got really puffy. And I look a little puffy now because it's winter and I've been eating more cooked food. But I was like really puffy. Like I looked like I was on, I looked like I was a cancer patient. I was really, really puffy. I looked like I was on a million medications. And I looked very unhealthy and unnatural. So all these things kind of like came together and I just got so sick of it. And I went online looking for a solution, how to cure hypothyroidism on your own without the medication. And I came across somebody who said that they cured their hypothyroidism on a raw diet. And I'd never really heard of this before. So I looked into raw diet and quickly learned that high-fat raw is not what I wanted to do. I had no interest in gaining more weight, getting more acne, anything like that. So then I found the low-fat, high-carb raw, and everyone looked amazing, and everyone's stories sounded like mine, and everyone had so much energy, and it seemed so easy. Like, how could it be easier? You eat as much as you want, a fruit that you like, and that's basically it. There's nothing else to think about. So I thought, okay, I'll try this. So that day I tried it, and I thought, I can learn as I go along. I don't have to know everything about it before I start. So I went to bed that night and woke up the next morning and started eating low-fat, high-carb, raw vegan. And I continued to eat this way for 3 months. It was working amazing. I lost 30 pounds. It just fell off me. And I was working out, which I've never done consistently before, but I had so much energy. I wanted to work out. I really did. I couldn't wait for the end of the day when I could run home from work. And I felt really good, and my skin cleared up so much. I went off all my medications that day as well when I started. I went off my minocycline. I went off well, I reduced my hypothyroid drugs within a week, and I stopped taking the ibuprofen that I've been taking every day for 3 months. Um, so I was feeling really, really good. And then summer hit, or the end of summer, because this was um, May when I started, May 2013. And then the end of summer came, and I had relatives, my boyfriend's family, visit from Vancouver, and um, she was taking us out to eat all the time, and I stayed vegan, but I was definitely not raw, and I had been 100% raw up until that point. Very strict with myself. And um, she came to visit, and I kind of fell off the wagon. And then when she left, I found it really hard to get back on uh, because I was like the fruit selection had changed. It had transitioned from summer to fall, and suddenly my staple fruits weren't available. They were really bad quality, really expensive, and I didn't know what to do. So I just kept eating high fat vegan. And this lasted for about a month and a half where I didn't think much about it. I was still eating fruit for breakfast and lunch, but after lunch, um, things kind of like flew out the window because I was hungry. I wasn't eating enough in the morning. There wasn't enough of the fruit that I liked. Um, so then I kind of snapped back into it. I had gained 10 pounds. And I said, this is ridiculous. You're going to go right back to the way you were before. And I want to be healthy. I want to get completely off my thyroid medication. I had already reduced it by 3/4. And I'm so ready to get off of it. So I started focusing more. And up until this point, I'm eating most of my meals raw, with probably every other night I'm eating a high carb, low fat cooked vegan meal that I make at home. And everything else is raw, and I stopped gaining weight and started to lose it very slowly. And I suspect if I was eating 100% raw, it would be coming off very fast. But another factor is I'm not exercising as much. Right now, it's like -25 outside, so it's just not happening. So I have to get a gym membership, which I talked about before. But anyway, that's kind of my journey. That's where I am now. I'm 154 pounds, down from 188, um, which was the spring of this year. So I've lost a lot of weight, and I'm keeping it off. And I'm just excited to continue on in my journey and hopefully attain 100% raw 100% of the time. It's when I feel my best, and that's something that I'm going to prioritize in my life. Anyway, thank you.